Hey guys, in this video I'll be comparing 1998 Ronnie Coleman, 2024 Arnold Classic Hadi Choopan, and 2011 Phil Heath. All three can be considered the best of their eras, as all have accomplished almost everything that there is in bodybuilding. Since this is a video footage comparison, height scaling, video quality, and things like that are all going to be a bit worse than if I were to be using photos. Still, I feel like it's fun to use video footage as it gives us a look at what these guys could have looked like on stage side by side. To judge this comparison, I'll be giving first place 1 point, second place 2 points, and third place 3 points, meaning that the lowest number of points would win this comparison. Now, before the video does start, a like and sub really helps out the channel and helps keep things going on my end. With that all being said though, let's get into this video. Alright, starting off this video with the front double, we can see that all three look rather impressive. Ronnie has the most peak to his biceps and nicely swept triceps, a great V-taper, and relatively small waist, and massive quads. Hadi looks great, possessing the most aesthetic waist, solid arms, and extremely thick, dense quads. Phil might have the best presentation of the quads in the pose, as he flares them out to accentuate their sweep and showcases more inner thigh. He also has the driest looking arms, however his midsection is the worst, and he is relatively narrow. Looking at these three, I'd probably have Hadi in third, as he has the worst arms and the shortest limbs overall, causing him to look rather stubby and compact. While I like his conditioning, midsection, and massive legs, the other two have similar characteristics while having better structures. In second, I'd probably go with Phil since he doesn't have those wow factor bicep peaks, nor does he have the best V-taper due to his narrower frame. That would leave Ronnie in first place, who doesn't have the best midsection out there. However, everything flows pretty well, he's conditioned, and he's massive. The front lat spread is a close pose, as all three look pretty great. All of them showcase good lat coverage, massive quads, and tapered and controlled waistlines. Immediately though, Phil stands out to me, but not for good reason. He appears the most narrow across the chest, and I am personally not a fan of the roundness of the pecs that he presents. While he does have great arms, delts, quads, calves, and a tight and small waistline, he is kind of narrow, which detracts from the pose. In contrast, Hadi appears to trade height for supreme width, as he is so wide shoulder to shoulder, and his flaring lats only accentuate this. I'm not the biggest fan of his angular delts or shorter quads, however he has considerable size and looks conventionally impressive. Ronnie's shot isn't the best, as it seems like the lights sort of wash out the detail that he has. However, you can notice that he has the best detail and thickness combination of the chest, some huge quads, a tight yet not super defined midsection, and great lats of his own. He takes the arms of Phil, the width of Hadi, and combines them to make a phenomenal upper body that, in my opinion, triumphs over the other two. I'd probably give second place to Hadi for his width and similar size to Phil, while Phil would be in third. However, it is debatable since Phil looks super aesthetic and could beat Hadi off of that. The side chest is definitely a pose where Ronnie and Phil pull ahead of Hadi, as Hadi appears a bit thin in certain areas from the side, especially in the arm and chest compared to the other two. While he has a great side leg and good overall flow, the size discrepancy from a height and mass perspective are too much for him to overcome. Both Ronnie and Phil have so much density and size in the arms, delts, chest, and side leg, and their conditioning is comparable to Hadi's. My eyes are drawn to Ronnie for his tremendous size in the upper body and thin skin, however his posing isn't the best. He could be displaying both his upper body and lower body better to showcase more size, especially in the hamstring. In contrast, Phil looks bubbly, 3D, and super full, and although I don't like how low he gets, it's undeniable that he showcases everything in a much better manner. His midsection is a bit bulbous, however he has the most deeply cut midsection from the side since he really crunches down and everything else looks pretty solid. While it is very close between him and Ronnie, I'd probably go with Phil here, however Ronnie is just as much of a contender in the pose as Phil. The rear double, like the side chest, is where Ronnie and Phil just put so much distance between them and Hadi. While I respect Hadi and view him as having one of the best back poses in the current era, against Phil and Ronnie he just isn't the best. There's just a level of polish and quality that Ronnie and Phil have. Maybe it's the way the light highlights the thickness and details on their physiques, or maybe it's the sheer size and density that they have. Whatever it is, I feel like both have better backs, superior lower halves, huge arms, and thinner skin all around. Now, between Ronnie and Phil, I'd say that it's super close. Phil's back quite literally pops off his frame, showcasing immense detail everywhere and great size. His hamstrings and glutes appear more intricately separated than Ronnie's do. However, Ronnie is similarly conditioned and has better sized glutes and comparable hamstrings. His arms are objectively better for the size and comparable conditioning, and his back is a bit wider in the lats. He squeezes his shoulder blades in order to create more added thickness in the traps. However, it does detract from his main advantage over Phil, which is width. I don't really know who to go with as both look great, however, I'd probably lean towards Ronnie for his equally as impressive back and slightly better arms and legs. Here's the rear lat spread, a pose which is definitely going to be closer than the last one, as Hadi definitely isn't getting steamrolled. He has tremendous width in the lats, comparable thickness in the upper and lower back, and has great size in the lower body. That being said, I don't really see how he can defeat Phil, let alone Ronnie, as his lower body, especially the glutes, aren't nearly as detailed or as separated as the other two. Although his back is extremely impressive and wide on its own, I feel like his lower body conditioning lets him down big time. Next, I'd probably go with Phil in a second solid place, as he has the narrowest back. However, as you can see, it quite literally leaps off his frame and is very nicely defined. His lower body is also miles ahead of Hadi's, which would give him the advantage over him. Ronnie would be in a comfortable first place, as he has so much width, the craziest traps, the most cleanly defined Christmas tree region, and of course those massive and ripped legs. The side tricep is a different story altogether from the previous side shot, as Hadi, while looking a bit thin in the arm, has the best midsection and crazy conditioning. His side leg doesn't look horrible either, showcasing great size and detail. While he can beat almost anyone in today's era in this pose, and probably tons of others from any other era, he gets exposed in the chest and arm as he lacks thickness. Normally, he's able to exploit his opponent's lack of conditioning. However, you can see that Phil and Ronnie both have great conditioning and clearly have so much thickness in the chest, delts, and side leg. Ronnie isn't anything special in the arm and tricep area. However, he might just be defeating Hadi, who has an even flatter tricep than Ronnie and lacks those nice striations. You can see that Ronnie poses his side leg in a much better way from the last pose, showcasing the deep cuts and true size of his hamstring, and even his midsection doesn't look all too bad. I would have him beating Hadi if it weren't for that stellar midsection that Hadi has. However, I think that the crazy detail is just barely enough to win over Ronnie. Phil would easily be in first though, as although he doesn't pose conventionally, he still showcases so much size in the side leg and has great separation and control over the midsection, the best tricep and arm by a mile, and great fullness and thickness upstairs. Fortunately for Hadi, this is a pose which he can win with no questions asked. Maybe the only question raised would be within his quads, which are a bit lackluster in separation and size compared to the others. However, relative to his frame, they look fine. What really wins the pose for him is this ridiculously cut midsection of his, as not only does he have the best abs genetically speaking, he also has the craziest serratus and obliques, showcasing so much detail in every nook and cranny. Ronnie and Phil look the best they ever have in my opinion. However, their genetically unaesthetic abs are not enough to win the overall pose. Phil does grab my attention before Ronnie due to his phenomenal posing, since he showcases his quads perfectly and his midsection appears more diced in the serratus and obliques. Ronnie may have a better taper, however his midsection is the least defined and his gyno sort of throws things a little bit off. I do like his silhouette and his quads, however the gyno and unaesthetic abs don't do him any favors. Therefore, I would go with Ronnie in third place, Phil in second, and Hadi in an easy first. The last pose, the most muscular, is a solid pose for all three. Now, Hadi is known for having the best most muscular in this variation currently, as his strided chest, deeply cut abs, boulder shoulders, and huge quads are all standout attributes. That being said, the other two have similar conditioning attributes, maybe not the best midsections, but so much size, especially in the arms, chest, and quads. Out of all three, Phil stands out the most, as his three-dimensional arms, delts, and chest, combined with great conditioning and enormous quads, combine to make one of, if not the best, most musculars of all time. Ronnie looks great as well, showcasing so much detail everywhere, and obviously so much size as well. While his midsection is a glaring weakness, the conditioning and size that he presents may be enough to overshadow his flaws. I'd say that he does enough to beat Hadi in this variation. However, Phil's most muscular is a bit too much in my opinion, and I would have him in first. Alright guys, that's it for this video. In short, I had Ronnie and Phil tying this one with 14 points each, with Hadi in a firm third, or I guess second place with 20 points. I think that Phil and Ronnie are both pretty even at their first Olympia wins, as both had somewhat aesthetic lines, clean presentation, and great size and condition. Hadi is great in the current era, however, I think this comparison proved just how different the more legendary eras were. Guys, let me know in the comments what you thought of this comparison and who you had winning down below. With that all being said, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.